Hello.
Then. Now.
Down to the queens.
Episode number 500.
Forever.
Looks like hell throws over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Fiend, all that, yes, hello. Welcome to episode number 138 of the TEW 9 Challenge Run. We're here for WrestleMania Night 2, April 20th, 2025. It is the season finale. We are back in Allegiant Stadium. We are back for another round of WrestleMania. Last night, what a night it was. It got a 100, because of course it did, because I bought a special set and a band. Done the same here tonight, so I'm expecting a 100 here tonight. So long as the main event can deliver. But every other time Seth Rollins and CM Punk have shared the ring, it's got a 99. So let's see if that trend can continue tonight in our WWE Championship main event. Obviously, last night we saw the Antidote pick up the victory in that 8-man tag team match, so now we know the other members of the Antidote will not be banned from ringside, but on one hand, you know, that's bad news for Seth, but on the other, he now can anticipate them, so who knows what we'll see in that main event tonight. Also tonight we have the end of the Bloodline saga as we know it, Tribal Warfare, as The Rock and his chosen family face Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa. If The Rock's team wins, he's the Tribal Chief and Roman Reigns is banished from ECW. If Roman wins, The Rock, he doesn't get involved in family business anymore and he goes off to, do whatever The Rock does, which includes run for president in this game. We also have a Women's ECW Championship triple threat match. Florence and Blair Davenport both challenge Ruby Riott for the championship. We also have Sami Zayn looking to prove he does belong back on the top here in WWE as he faces off Bobby Lashley for the World Heavyweight Championship. We have one of the most personal grudge matches we've ever seen, Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae. We have more brutal grudge matches, including AJ Styles against the Demon Balor. And kicking us off the night is the Women's Intercontinental Championship ladder match, the Razor Ramon Memorial ladder match this year, contested by the women for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. The first time that belt is defended at WrestleMania. And a whole lot more. Night 1 was something special. Let's see if Night 2 can deliver even more hype. Without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. America the Beautiful Lillian Garcia is back out here to kick off the night. She did such a wonderful job yesterday. They're going to bring her back out for round 2. Or, replace her with whatever musician or singer you want to put in there. I just chose Lillian because, I've got pictures for her. Could go to make a picture of somebody else. And yeah, Lillian, America the Beautiful, Night 2. We get our hype video. Some of our biggest matches on the Tonight Show, the Free World title matches, the Bloodline Tribal Warfare. Yeah. And let's get kicking with the first match of the night, which is for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. It's the Razor Ramon Memorial ladder match.
The following contest is an 8-woman ladder match and is for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship.
This Las Vegas crowd still reeling from the events of 24 hours ago, but when there's no West for the Wicked, we're doing it all over again here tonight.
Introducing the challenger from Japan,
Now, this is the Razor Ramon Memorial ladder match. In the prior years, we've seen this competed for the Men's Intercontinental Championship, but this is the first defense of the Women's Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. It's also the first time that Maki has been in action on the main card of WrestleMania. She hosted back in 2021, and she's been in the Battle Royal every other year, but tonight she makes her main card WrestleMania debut, along with 7 other women who are looking to become the Women's Intercontinental Champion. And of course, there's been back and forth between all 8 of these women over the past few months, including all the way back to the Women's Intercontinental Classic, to crown the inaugural champion back on the Netflix debut episode of Monday Night Raw on January 6th. And Maki looks to be the underdog here, man. She looks to be the one to take that championship home. Will be our first piece of singles gold if she does manage to do so. But of course, the spirit of the bad guy, Chico, breathing into all 8 of these women as the Intercontinental Championship once again high above the ring. This time, women looking to compete for it.
From the Welsh Valley,
Now last year it was Tegan Nox and Piper Niven. They were the Liberators. They were the women's tag team champions. They lost those championships to Queendom on the night, but they're still together here tonight. They're still looking to fight the injustices here on Monday Night Raw. But tonight, they're not tag team partners. They're actually opponents here at WrestleMania. Make no bones about it. There is still love lost between the two, and they've said, may the better woman win here tonight, and Tegan Nox. But she's walked into WrestleMania in championship matches before. You know, she was the SmackDown Women's Champion 3 years ago. She walked in as the Tag Team Champion last year, and tonight she looks to become the Women's Intercontinental Champion, only the second ever Women's Intercontinental Champion. But as I've said before, there are 7 other women standing in her path, including her best friend, possibly the most dangerous of them all.
and from Ayrshire, Scotland,
You know, normally in ladder matches, people favour the smaller competitor, but a woman like Piper Niven, that size that she has, the size advantage of everybody else in this match, she can use those ladders in a unique way that a lot of people can't use them. And, you know, she can dominate the field like she aims to here tonight. We could be looking at Piper Niven walking out here at WrestleMania as the Women's Intercontinental Champion. And that would be a very dangerous thing for the rest of the women's roster on Monday Night Raw if their path to championship gold was blocked by not only Bianca Belair, but Piper Niven. Now, Tegan and Piper are actually 2 of the 4 women in this match that have WrestleMania experience, and this woman, believe it or not, is actually the 3rd. Despite still being a relative rookie in her career, this is her 2nd walk down WrestleMania. It has been an interesting time for Tatum Paxley ever since Rhea Ripley came back from injury. Tatum wanted to regroup with her mommy, her friend, but Rhea wanted no part of Tatum. So Tatum in recent weeks has been all by herself, though she was trying to break up the friendship of Tegan Nox and Piper Niven last year. But Tatum, you know, she doesn't need any other friends. You know, if she can pull that Women's Intercontinental Championship down tonight and take it home, that can be her best friend in many ways. But Tatum, of course, this is her 2nd time competing on WrestleMania. 2 years ago, she was in action against Alexa Bliss in her WrestleMania debut. And of course, Alexa Bliss also part of this match here tonight. So they get the chance to run it back, but this time there's ladders and 6 other women involved. That's how high stakes things are here tonight, and how much of this championship, the right to be the 2nd ever champion for 7 of these women and keep a hold of your 1st ever championship reign if you're Stephanie Vaquer, means to all women involved in this match. Another woman making her way down for the first time at WrestleMania. Give it up for Miss Parker.
and from Port St. Lucie, Florida,
Jada Parker, she debuted on the Monday Night Raw back in the Auckland Assault pay-per-view in October. She answered an open challenge by Nova Nebula on that night. You know, ever since then, she looked to regain her spot on the division. You know, she had a very good run in the Intercontinental Climax, which actually included a big shock surprise victory, her defeating Bayley in her first match of the tournament. And it was, you know, she was robbed of her spot in the semi-finals by Bayley and Mackie, she claims, which has led to her beef with Mackie over the past couple of weeks, which of course has spilled over towards the rest of the women's locker room who look to become the Intercontinental Champion here tonight. Jada Parker, of course, making her WrestleMania debut, and this is also the first time on the big stage, at least on the main show. For the first time, WrestleMania runs on Diffie Time.
And from Pryor, Minnesota, Tiffany Stratton.
Of course, we saw Mariah May and Anne-Marie Porter, Tiffany's stablemates, both in that Battle Royal early on tonight on the kickoff show. A Battle Royal that was actually won by Tiffany Stratton last year. She used that to great advantage. She had a great year on Monday Night Raw, but didn't quite get her hands on either the WWE Women's Championship or the Intercontinental Championship so far. But tonight could be the night that title comes home to Tiffany Stratton and that championship officially is on Tiffy time. And of course, we've been talking about a lot of the women's inexperience in this match so far, and we've now come to the point where this woman is now considered one of the more experienced veterans on the entire roster, and the most experienced woman in this ladder match here tonight.
From Columbus, Ohio, Alexa Bliss.
Now, this side of Alexa Bliss, we saw her come back in the Royal Rumble match in February with this whole new side. She locked herself away, sort of like an ice princess, and she's now living up to the Bliss name, and she's trying to bring that chilly aura with her to WrestleMania. She's had her own problems with Tiffany Stratton recently, of course her history with Tatum Paxley, and Alexa Bliss, she introduced the Women's Liberty Championship, the first Women's Midcard Championship ever introduced at WWE 3 years ago when she was the Raw General Manager. She's yet to hold that championship, but she could become the Intercontinental Champion here tonight if she can beat these 7 other women. But this champion, this demon, this devil, doesn't want to lose her grip on the championship that easily. It's going to take more than 7 men to pry it from her hands. Welcome to WrestleMania.
The WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion, Stephanie Stratton.
La Primera, she's been around for a year or so now, but it was really after she dumped Dominic Mysterio and LA Extreme last year, rebranded herself as Stephanie Vaquer and reminded the world who the hell she is, competing on her own. And she became a breakout superstar towards the end of last year, and she won that Intercontinental Climax to become the inaugural champion back on January 6th. She hasn't lost the championship ever since, but this could be her toughest challenge yet, as 7 women are all vying for the same shot that she has, but La Primera does not want to let that title go either. '81. I'm laughing at an injury note in this match, and I'm trying to imagine what went wrong in the spot, but I'll get to it. But yeah, it is the ladder match. Mackie, Tegan Knox, Piper Niven, Jada Parker, Tatum Paxley, Tiffany Stratton, and Alexa Bliss, all challenging the champion, Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie, the inaugural champion, she won it when she won the Intercontinental Climax on the Raw Netflix debut, has held it ever since, but now has, a long list of challenges here. So this match, it's your standard multi-woman ladder match. You've got some of your big spots in there, including Jada doing that corner bum drop move on a ladder onto somebody. One spot that they did in Money in the Bank in real life that I had planned, but a slightly different version, was Stephanie, we have her, climbing the ladder. She's exhausted, she's doing the climb where, they slow climb up and they just move their arms and her legs are, not climbing the rungs. So her legs are still free. And then when she goes to grab it, Mackie would sneak up behind her, try and pull her off. Stephanie wraps her legs around Mackie's head and starts hitting Devil's Kiss on the ladder, but not laying down, while she stood up, like that, vertically. And then when Mackie falls down, somebody else comes in, Tatum Paxley or somebody, she does it to her as well. And, we just get a nice little rotation of people walking in and getting Devil's Kissed on the ladder like that. And in the end, we can only have one champion, Mackie, this is her first WrestleMania match, properly. The crowd's going crazy for her. She climbs up to the top, and she looks like she's got the championship, but she gets pushed off a ladder, to a ladder waiting on the outside, apparently strains her groin on the way down because that's the injury she suffered. And it was Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffy, all alone, pulls down the championship. And we have a new Women's Intercontinental Champion. 84 for Mackie, 82 for Tegan Nox, 79 for Piper Niven, 50 for Jada Parker, 72 for Tatum Backley, 72 for Tiffany, 81 for Alexa, 94 for Stephanie. So yeah, I remember mentioning when I was jobbing Tiffy out a lot in the road to WrestleMania, and I was like, this is being done for a reason. That reason was because she was a star, and I needed to try and suck some popularity away from her to make her well known so she could win this belt. So yes. Now Tiffany she'll probably be back up to star now she's won it, but she was definitely well known when I started the show, and she was able to win this match. Mackie and Tegan Nox both took stomp bumps. Tegan can do something. I didn't specify what she did. But yes, it is Tiffy time. The new Women's Intercontinental Champion. Thank you, Undertaker. And then get a video package just going over the events of Night 1, some of the biggest moments, including our three, I guess, new world champions, Bianca, Io, and Jacob, the Antidote's victory, Gunther's victory over Daniel Bryan, a whole lot more. You've probably seen the show by now, but yes, what a Night 1 it was. Congratulations to Tiffany Stratton on her first championship in WWE, but now it's time to move on to something a lot more personal. Welcome to WrestleMania, the Lucha Brothers. And their leader, the Bastard Pack.
The following contest is a six-man
Neville even.
match on the way to the ring at a combined weight of 609 pounds. Midcard and Ruca.
Now Neville made his return to WWE last year. He was the United States champion. He lost that title to Sami Zayn, and after he lost that championship, he sort of went dark for a number of months. Re-emerging on the New Day's 10-year anniversary celebration. It was supposed to be the greatest night in the career of the New Day, and he said in no uncertain terms, you three are a joke, and you need to evolve, or to adapt, or die, or get left behind. That led to Xavier Woods losing the World Heavyweight Championship to Bobby Lashley, just as Neville had wanted, but of course they were free of the New Day, and one of Neville, and that's where his two friends, the Lucha Bros, came in to stand by Neville's side in this war.
Oh, WrestleMania! Don't you dare be sour! Clap for your world-famous
10.
two-time champs and feel the power! It's a new day, yes it is!
And their opponents at a combined weight of 702 pounds. Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Kingston, the New Day.
A lot of different eras of the New Day on display with their ring gear here tonight, and that goes to so Xavier Woods has been saying since Neville tried to split the New Day up. The New Day is forever. 10 years and counting, Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Kingston have been by each other's side. All three now former world champions. This group really did change the career of these three men. And now they've got to fight their probably toughest fight yet. Can their brotherhood stand tall against a man and two Lucha brothers who look to rip it apart? Or will they prove once and for all that the New Day is forever? The New Day are the best for Big E, Kofi, and Woods. 90 rated 6-man tag. Sure, I'll take that. Neville gets a 98. Like, Jesus fuck. But yes, it's the New Day and Death Triangle. This has been going on since December, since Saturday Night's main event. or well, really since the New Day 10-year anniversary when Neville returned and like promised to kill the New Day, and then he cost Xavier Woods his world title match. Well, he didn't really cost him. He watched it from a distance, and that distracted Xavier Woods, basically. And then, you know, he's been going at it ever since, trying to rip the New Day apart. He brought in his old friends Phoenix and Penta, and the Death Triangle on the New Day going at it here tonight. But the New Day is forever, says Xavier Woods. But in the end, it isn't enough, because Neville pins Big E with a red arrow in 14:32 to win the match for Death Triangle. 83 for Penta, 84 for Phoenix, 98 for Neville, 83 for Xavier Woods, 78 for Kofi Kingston, 87 for Big E. Neville is, you know, scoring 98s. I really like his character work. I've always liked Neville a lot, or Pac, you know. Liked him in NXT, liked him when he was Cruiserweight Champion, liked him in AEW, and they put him in the Death Riders, and yeah. But, yeah. He's definitely somebody I want to do stuff with next season. I don't currently have any plans locked in for him, but I will definitely try and make sure he stays a key player on SmackDown. But yes, the Death Triangle do win here tonight. But after the match, you know, Big E, he's let everybody down. Or he thinks even. You know, he gets up, Kofi and Woods get in the ring, they console Big E, and, you know, they help Big E to his feet. And then I imagine, like, you know, what Big E's hand is in, one hand is in Kofi's hand, the other's in Woods' hand, they try and pull him up. And then Woods sort of just lets go of Big E's hand and he falls to the floor. And Kofi sort of looks at him and goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And Woods just looks down at Big E. And he's like, he just shakes his head, he goes, I can't. I thought we were forever. I guess maybe not. And he just walks away, leaves the ring, walks up the ramp by himself. Kofi and Big E look on in shock. They sort of look at each other like, what's the matter with him? But Xavier Woods has stormed out here tonight. The
following contest is a fatal four-way match and is for the ECW World Television Championship.
Championship action once again here on night 2 of WrestleMania. Get on your feet for Josiah Williams and Adam Cole, baby.
Introducing the challenger from Panama City, Florida, weighing in at 201 pounds.
Adam Cole was ECW World Champion. Last year, you know, he was a member of the Paragon. Last year at WrestleMania, he defeated Dolph Ziggler to force Dolph Ziggler to join the Paragon. And on that night, Cesaro also debuted as a member of the Paragon. Adam Cole sort of hitman of sorts. Of course, Dolph Ziggler did join the group. And everything seemed fine up to a point, till Adam Cole lost the ECW World Championship to Warden. Boom. And Dolph Ziggler had enough, and he'd actually talked to Cesaro, and him and Cesaro both booted Adam Cole out of his own creation, out of the Paragon. And that led to, of course, Adam Cole going back to his old friends in the Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong. They've been going at it with the Paragon in recent weeks. And, you know, that's also led to some more tension between Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler, as they both want to be the man from the Paragon to represent the group in championship action here at WrestleMania. Cesaro won that opportunity, but Dolph Ziggler got here by pinning the ECW television champion.
Introducing the challenger, representing the province from Hollywood, California, weighing in at 218 pounds,
And now Dolph Ziggler a year later, once again coming down to the ring at WrestleMania to face off with Adam Cole, but again, much different circumstances. Adam Cole is the one not in the Paragon. Dolph Ziggler took that spot. He took that group. And, you know, as much as he wants to try and say that it is a family, it is about elevating everybody, he sort of has begun to show the same signs that Adam Cole showed leading that group, and that's that, you know, he wants to be the champion, he wants to be the best. And that's a very commendable attitude to have, but when you're Cesaro, you see Dolph Ziggler talking about you like that, you know, you're obviously not going to sit back and take that, especially when you earned the right to challenge for this championship here tonight. Hence, 2 stablemates on the other side of the ring here tonight, and a bit of a throwback from Cesaro here tonight.
Introducing the challenger, representing the province from Lucerne, Switzerland, weighing in at 234 pounds, Caesar.
Cesaro had a brief little interaction recently on ECW with his old friend Sheamus, and it was very intriguing because Sheamus was in the doctor's office after being attacked by the Messiah. Cesaro was in there, you know, after he'd been taken out by Kevin Owens, and, you know, sort of saying no one's heard turf. You know, you're tired of letting people disrespect us around here. And Sheamus got his one back on the Messiah last night by living it from the Battle Royal, but Cesaro does enter this match against Dolph Ziggler here tonight. So we'll see what comes if this match does come down to both the Paragon men to try and see who will be the ECW television champion. But, you know, there are 4 men in this match. I've talked about Cesaro a lot, I've talked about Dolph Ziggler a lot, I've even talked about Adam Cole. But one man that I've barely mentioned, to my fault, is the self-proclaimed People's Champion of it all, KO Mania 8. Kevin Owens, the television champion, you know, he won that back at Cyber Sunday. You know, he calls himself the People's Champion. No, long story short, because there was a vote for Cyber Sunday of whether or not he should wrestle Kyle O'Reilly for the championship, and yes won out over no. So instead of, you know, people just wanting an extra championship match on the premium live event, Kevin Owens assumed that was the people siding with him over Kyle O'Reilly, another person who he thinks wronged him, because of course it's always somebody else's fault other than Kevin Owens, just like it was Adam Cole's fault when their friendship broke up, just like it was Dolph Ziggler's fault that he got beat, and Cesaro's fault for not helping him out. But who will walk away television champion here tonight? Kevin Owens is his 8th time at WrestleMania. You know, last year he was a tag team champion with Sami Zayn. This year he walks in television champion on ECW. '86. I'll take that. Adam Cole was the star of this, basically, because he's the only one under 40, and I believe everybody else might be declining in this game. Well, Cesaro and Dolph are declining physical ability. Kevin Owens is punished for physical condition. But, yeah. So Adam Cole, of course, the highest scorer in the match. But the problem with Adam Cole is he's a major star, so he can't win this match. So, you know, we've got Paragon Law and Kevin Owens in there as well. He's got his own law with Adam Cole, but Adam Cole is also a part of Paragon Law, obviously. So, yeah. But the winner of this match comes when, you know, Cesaro, he hits Adam Cole with a neutralizer. 1, 2, and Dolph Ziggler breaks up the pin. And, you know, Cesaro, he's a sportsman. He knows that, like, this is any man for himself, and obviously Dolph Ziggler still wants to win this match, you know. Like, there's a lot of stablemates that would see that and be like, oh, what the fuck? Why you breaking up my pin? Like, no, this is every man for himself, you know. Cesaro knows that. But he sort of does the shrug, and he, like, gives a stiff uppercut to Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler staggers back, he gives a super kick to Cesaro. And Cesaro's like, alright, fucker. He uppercuts Dolph Ziggler again. Ziggler super kicks Cesaro again. He uppercuts Dolph Ziggler. He bounces off the ropes. He gives him that big European uppercut. And then Cesaro gets all fired up. The crowd is like signaling for him to swing Dolph Ziggler around. And, you know, he picks Dolph Ziggler up in position for the swing. And Ziggler's going, don't you fucking dare. And Cesaro sort of shrugs his shoulders. He gives the big swing to Dolph Ziggler. He rotates. He locks him in the sharpshooter. Dolph Ziggler's about to tap out. When Kevin Owens rushes into the ring, he super kicks Cesaro out of the sharpshooter. Pop-up powerbomb. And he pins Cesaro to retain the television championship. The People's Champion has done it. He's still the People's Champion. Kevin Owens. What a man. 93 for Adam Cole, 81 for Cesaro, 75 for Dolph Ziggler, 78 for Kevin Owens. Your people's champion, he grabs the belt, he rushes through the crowd, he starts celebrating with the crowd, he drinks beers with the fans. You know, I realize that, like, saying it all like that makes him sound like a babyface, but, you know, it is all tongue-in-cheek. He is still, a very obnoxious douchebag. But you know, he's KO, so even if he is an actual heel and a douchebag like that, you know, there's still going to be a good chunk of the fans that love him. So, yeah. But then after the match is where we see Law, because Dolph Ziggler is mad at Cesaro. It's like, what the fuck? I said not to swing, okay? You'll listen to these people, and you did what I told you not to do, and look where it got you, okay? Look where it got us. Neither of us are champion now, and it's not my fault. It's your fault. And, you know, Dolph Ziggler sort of shoves Cesaro again, and Cesaro shoves Dolph Ziggler to the floor. And just like Xavier Woods before him, he storms out as well. But this one is a lot more, you know, authoritative. This one's a lot more of a fuck you, you know. Woods was just more of a, you know, I'm disappointed walkout. But Cesaro is an aggressive fuck you to Dolph Ziggler. But, you know, they've been through worse than this before. Let's see if JC Jane can get back on the same page. And don't scratch your ears or your eyes or adjust your sets. Those are cheers you just heard for the Queen.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making her way to the ring from the Queen City,
Charlotte Flair has been very open with people in recent weeks. It's a very different side to Charlotte than the one we're used to. You know, normally you see the Queen, she struts down here, you know, she comes out here in, you know, fancy robes, the crowd's on booing her out of the building. But Charlotte, you know, she's been a lot more vulnerable in a recent week. You know, her and her friend Ariana Grace, you know, bringing a more human side to the Queen. And it's led to a lot of growing support amongst the fandom from Charlotte. You know, they're sort of a fandom who was bored of Charlotte Flair, sick of seeing her, you know, always with a championship and always winning. So in her way, she has said that this is one of the biggest WrestleMania matches of her career, even though it's not a main event, it's not for a world championship. But it is for her to prove to her newfound fans that, you know, despite not being the brash and bold, silver spoon-born son of one of the greatest of all time, she can stand on her own 2 feet as Charlotte Flair and be the people's queen. And it helps her that her opponent tonight is a woman that she's got history with, a woman who's got her own vengeance and vendetta and score to settle with Charlotte Flair from 2 years ago, a grudge that she's harbored for so long that she looks to scratch off her back here tonight. And she sees this version of Charlotte as weak, as vulnerable, and she has grown in the years since. She's grown from being a rookie on the roster looking to break out to being a former women's world champion, the Queen of the Ring winner, looking to finally get back that one defeat that still haunts her, no matter what galaxy she may be in, no matter which timeline she looks at. She sees that defeat. Nova Nebula, with WrestleMania 2 years ago, she challenged Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship at the time. And, you know, many were hoping that Nova would step up. She dethroned Charlotte and she'd become the new champion. But Charlotte actually beat her on that night. It was a very disappointing night to be Nova Nebula. She was on the cusp of getting another shot at Charlotte's championship, but then fate had other ideas for Nova. She left for a year due to, you know, being on maternity leave. And she came back last summer. She won the Queen of the Ring and she finally became the women's champion. That was one thing checked off her bucket list that she needed to do upon returning. The other, she says, beat Charlotte Flair, rid this industry of who she calls industry plans and nepo babies, because she was built from the ground up to be a wrestler, and she's better than Charlotte Flair, so says Nova Nebula. But I guess tonight we get to see who really is the best between the two. 90. Okay, sure. They both individually scored better than that, but apparently there was a lack of psychology between these two. Charlotte and Nova. I don't particularly have too much to say about this match. It's just two powerful women, having a match. It's really good. The crowd's finally really behind Charlotte. She hits her big moves and the crowd pops for them. But in the end, it's not enough, and Nova puts her down with the Area 451 to avenge her defeat 2 years ago. Yeah, nice little mid-card match. It's to get Nova something on the show, to avenge that loss, and, to help continue the Charlotte babyface story. 92 for Charlotte, 94 for Nova. So yeah, Nova Nebula does pick up the win. She apparently has the strong connection with the young female demographic, because I don't have a face-heel divide in the game. Like, I turn it off in the game so I can run face v face and heel v heel matches without getting penalized. And obviously I have all that saved on an Excel document. So I know who all the faces and heels always are. But because I have it turned off, the game can't tell that Nova is a heel. I think the same thing happened with either Roxy or Cora yesterday. And it sees something about her stats. I don't know exactly what procs that, but it's her stats are really good, and we can't tell that she's a heel, so the young crowds really love her. Sure. After the match, Charlotte gets to her feet. Ariana gets into the ring. She helps Charlotte to her feet. They sort of share a hug in the ring, and the crowd's applauding Charlotte and chanting "Thank you, Charlotte" and all that. And it's an actual just a nice moment. Charlotte never gets this, so we're gonna let her get the babyface love from the crowd. If she looks around, she looks genuinely moved. Ariana's happy in there with her. Just a nice little moment. At WrestleMania, Charlotte lost, but she's a winner in her heart. A very personal grudge match between two former tag team partners, two former best friends turned rivals here on the grandest stage.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making his way to the ring from Gainesville, Georgia, weighing in at 218 pounds, the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Last year, AJ Styles gave us a glimpse into a terrifying future, and that's a future without the phenomenal one in professional wrestling. He came to the ring and he teased a retirement after SummerSlam. Oh no, ahead of SummerSlam. And that's when his friend Finn Balor, his tag team partner, they were the OG leaders, they were one of the greatest tag teams in the company. AJ Styles turned his back on Finn Balor that night. He psyched everybody out. He used the momentum from faking his retirement to go on to become the WWE Champion. He beat Gunther just 2 weeks after Gunther became the champion. And he carried that championship all the way to Survivor Series, where he lost it in a unification match to CM Punk. But after AJ lost the championship to Punk, there was one more person he forgot to worry about, and that's the Finn Balor had been awoken. When I say Finn Balor had been awoken, Finn had always been wide awake. But AJ Styles' attack on Finn awoke something far, far scarier in the body of Fergal Devil. Balor, the demon, the terrifying alter ego of the Prince Finn Balor, has arrived. Now, it was Balor, who assaulted AJ Styles after AJ's loss to CM Punk at Survivor Series. But Finn, the man, he was trying to, feign ignorance. He was trying to palm the attack off on Balor and not on himself, like they're not the same human being. Like he'd been controlled by a symbiote, by an evil mind that is the demon Balor. But as we all know, Finn Balor, no matter what you call him, they are one and the same. But Balor has to get himself in this zone when he really wants to bring pain and misery to the opponent he's stepping into the ring with. And unfortunately for AJ Styles, he's a young Christian man himself. He has always been terrified of sins and being dragged to hell. But when you do unspeakable things to people, sometimes hell comes to you. That's exactly what's happened here tonight in Vegas. Finn Balor himself, no stranger to WrestleMania, of course. AJ and Finn last year were a tag team heading into WrestleMania. It was them and the debuting Jay White who faced off against the House of Black. We haven't seen the Demon Balor at WrestleMania since probably 2019 when he fought Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental Championship. That's how long it's been since this side of Finn has had to be drawn out at WrestleMania, but unfortunately this side of Finn seems a lot more common now than it did back then. This side we've seen a lot more of the Demon on Raw in recent weeks than I quite frankly would like to have. $78, sure. Calm little mid-card match. This is basically the Angelo Dawkins versus Montez Ford of Night 2. AJ versus... I'm glad, based on that performance, I didn't make it Hell in a Cell. And also, again, because I like the Hell in a Cell I've got coming up better. But, yeah. Again, not too much to say about this one. It's been going on since, I guess, AJ's fake retirement ahead of SummerSlam. These two wrestled at SummerSlam, but Finn Balor was Finn Balor the man. And AJ was a heel at the time. And then Balor, lost his way. The Demon called to him like the Green Goblin mask. And the Demon has been causing mayhem on Raw. AJ came back after Balor tried to end his career. And here we are. AJ the babyface, Balor the heel. And it is Balor picking up the win. I think I beat the Demon last time we saw him. I think his last match was it the Gunther one? Has it been that long? Or... I don't think he got the Demon out against Alistair. No, he did. He got the Demon out at the Elimination Chamber last year in Ireland, I believe. And he won that one. And then, before then, it was the Gunther match in Clash of the Castle that he lost. Yeah. But the Demon back. He's more of a full-time thing now. We've seen the Demon almost weekly on TV at this point. So, yeah. But the Demon defeats AJ Styles. Balor with a coup de grace, 75 for AJ, 80 for Balor, and yeah, he finally avenges that. I don't exactly know the immediate future for either of these men. I do know something they both are doing that's like a couple of months down the line. But for the immediate month or two, I have to find something for them to do, because this is over. I know where Finn Balor is going. I know where AJ is likely going. But yeah. Balor with a win here tonight at WrestleMania. Another year, another WrestleMania for one of the greatest to ever do it. It was the start of WrestleMania 40 last year. Randy Orton, Batista, and John Cena, three of the best of their generation. They did as The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Hulk Hogan did a decade prior, and they opened up a historical anniversary of WrestleMania. But tonight, Randy Orton doesn't go it alone. Randy Orton goes it with a mad dragon by his side. Of course, last year coming out of WrestleMania, Randy Orton set his sights on Ilya Dragunov after a move to SmackDown. Almost a rivalry out of respect between him and Ilya. When Ilya defeated Randy Orton, I believe it was a Payback. This new alliance and friendship between two very scary and dangerous men formed with Shark KO. They went on to become WWE Tag Team Champions before losing them to the Motor City Machine Guns, another one of the greatest tag teams to ever live, who finally made the move up to WWE. Pretty Deadly, they had their Money in the Bank briefcase, they got involved somewhere, they took those championships. But Motor City Machine Guns made one thing perfectly clear: they'd love to run it back with Randy Orton and Ilya Dragunov. Motor City Machine Guns, one of the greatest, most influential tag teams of all time. Randy Orton, the same thing as a single star. Ilya Dragunov, a future world champion in his own right. And it turns out that the stage with these two tag teams going one-on-one is the grandest stage of them all. There have been a lot of tag teams chasing that goal in recent weeks, including Pretty Deadly trying to get their titles back, including the Revolution, including the Hurt Business. But in the end, only two teams could make it to WrestleMania, and it was Shark KO and the Motor City Machine Guns. Now Randy Orton has sort of been showing signs of reverting back to his old self in recent weeks, and Ilya Dragunov, this man of all people, has to be the voice of reason. That's how you know a situation is scary, when that man is the voice of reason. But Ilya, he's had quite the WrestleMania resume in his own right. The past 2 years, he's challenged for world championships at WrestleMania. 2 years ago, it was him in that Regal Coalition 4-way. Last year, he faced off against Swerve Scott on the show. Both times he came up short, but he has vowed that he will be a world champion again. Well, again, for the first time in WWE one day. But tonight, he's got a different world championship on his sights, that being Tag Team Championships. And him and his legendary tag team partner bringing the symphony to WrestleMania, to Las Vegas, to Allegiant Stadium. Sing it loud and proud for the Shah. Of course, we saw plenty of WrestleMania debuts here tonight, most being of young rising stars here in WWE who will be seeing plenty of WrestleManias in the future. But this debut at WrestleMania isn't that such case. This one is absolutely a long time coming. Alex Shelley on your left, Chris Sabin on your right, one of the most influential tag teams of their generation. Your favorite tag team's favorite tag team, the Motor City Machine Guns, finally arrived in WWE after almost 20 years back in September of last year, and they almost immediately captured those tag team championships. They've really been a force of good in the division, the entire division, chasing after those gold for the chance to wrestle the legendary Motor City Machine Guns. It's more than just the championships, although the championships do mean a hell of a lot. But tonight, it's the Machine Guns at their first WrestleMania, and they get to do it against one of the greatest to ever do it, and a future great in his own right, in Ilya Dragunov. Who'd have thought this would have been our tag team match last year at WrestleMania? But here we are. This damn little business works in mysterious ways.
The following contest is a tag team match scheduled for one fall and is for the WWE Tag Team Championship. Introducing the challengers at a combined weight of 482 pounds. The team of Randy Orton and Ilya and the opponents at a combined weight of 420 pounds, the WWE Tag Team Champions, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns.
That is indeed what it's all about. The WWE Tag Team Championships handed over to John Cone and held high in the sky. 81? Sure. This show so far isn't quite hitting the highs that Night 1 did in ring-wise. It's a Tag Team Championship match. Motor City Machine Guns, they beat KO to win the belts last year before Pretty Deadly cashed in and took them away. And ever since then, both these teams have been gunning for those belts, and, one day there would be a rematch between the two. And that day is today at WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania in the long, historic, legendary career of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. And they're against a legend in Randy Orton and, one of the best wrestlers on SmackDown in Ilya Dragunov. KO, I think they formed officially last, summer. Then they wrestled at SummerSlam. They beat Brian and Pete Dunne? Yeah. And, they've been a tag team ever since then. But tonight is not their night because made in Detroit from the Motor City Machine Guns on Ilya Dragunov, they pin him and they make defense number 3 of the WWE Tag Team Championships. 91 for Ilya, 78 for Randy, 63 for Sabin, 68 for Shelley. So yes, the WWE Tag Team Championship still around the waists of the Motor City Machine Guns. I liked when WWE debuted the Guns in real life and they put the belts on them and they made them a big deal right away. They sort of cooled off on the whole establishing them as top team for a bit until the SmackDown Tag Division rebirth now. But I like that I've kept I feel like I've kept their sort of mystique. Their arrival to the tag division really gave it a shot in the arm. And they're going to be, the backbone of, again, the SmackDown Tag Team division is something I'm really excited for the next season. I think I have planned the tag match for the belts at SummerSlam, and, it's going to fucking rock. So, yeah, really bringing the Guns in, even though in-game they're not quite that good, because, they weren't super over, and they're sort of on the older side, so, they can't really grow as much as someone like Ilya can. But yeah, they're still churning out decent performances. But after the match, the Guns celebrate with their belts. Randy Orton and Ilya Dragunov get to their feet, and they offer a handshake out to Randy and Ilya. And Randy and Ilya accept the handshake. Randy Orton then drops Alex Shelley with an RKO. He drops Chris Sabin with an RKO. Ilya gets in his face, and even Ilya Dragunov takes an RKO. All 3 men laid out by Randy. And Randy, he starts screaming at himself. He hearing them voices again. And he leaves the ring. Another, walk away here. There's a lot of tension on night 2. Night 1 basically went by clean, clean as a whistle. Apart from, the interference in the main event and shit like that. But people aren't happy about losing on night 2 so far. It's really funny. I didn't realize the contrast, the way I'd set these matches out, that it was like that. Otherwise, I would have probably put the New Day match on night 1. Well, no, I wouldn't, because the 8-man tag was on night 1. So I probably would have put the TV title match on night 1. But alas, it's fine. But yeah, Randy, we don't know if it's a full-on turn, but he has dropped his own tag team partner with an RKO hit at night. Las Vegas, history is upon us. Get up and on your feet for one final time. The greatest of all time. John Cena last year made it perfectly clear this is the year of his retirement. 2025 is his last year as a professional wrestler. He will retire from the industry in December. His final match will take place in December, which means this is his final WrestleMania and he walks into it for the very first time as the Intercontinental Champion. He's left an open challenge. He says, I'm going to storm down to that ring tonight, and whoever thinks they've got what it takes to dance with the greatest of all time in his final WrestleMania, well then, if you want some, come get some. The GOAT, the greatest of all time, John Cena, rushes to the ring. He gets a microphone, he slides into the ring, and he says, 3 weeks ago, I made the last defense of my Intercontinental Championship. And I told you people on that night I'd see you tonight, April 20th, Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium, WrestleMania 41, my final WrestleMania. And I called out the challenge to anybody back there who thinks they've got what it takes to be a top star here in WWE, who thinks they've got the aura and the name to carry John Cena to his final WrestleMania match. Well, those 3 weeks are up. John Cena is in the middle of the ring here in Allegiant Stadium, and this Intercontinental Championship, he sort of like lays it out on the floor. He goes, is up for grabs. Who wants to dance with John Cena at WrestleMania? Well, John Cena laying out the that's the Miz. Why is the Miz coming out here? This can't be. This isn't John Cena's last WrestleMania, surely. Out comes the Miz, and the Miz goes, John, you sure do think a lot of yourself, don't you? Because you see, you come out here thinking you're the greatest of all time, thinking, wrestling John Cena at WrestleMania was this big honor, and it is, which is why it's only fitting that somebody that's actually beaten you at WrestleMania, beating you for the WWE Championship, beating you in the main event of WrestleMania, comes out here and beats you at WrestleMania one final time to truly cement my legacy as the greatest of all time, because I'm the Miz, and he gets in the ring and John Cena just punches him and gives him an AA, tosses him out of the ring. He goes, okay, so time's running out. Miz, get your ass to the back. Your opportunity is wasted. Who else wants to dance with the greatest of all time? Okay, then, with that imbecile gone, it's time to... What are we doing? Chris Jericho is here. Well, I guess it's Chris Jericho versus John Cena. Hi, John. Hi, WrestleMania. Hi, Vegas. Now, I had a lot of people since last night laughing at me saying, Chris, you got eliminated from the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal first by Shaquille O'Neal. Well, I was simply saving my energy for tonight, because I knew tonight I was going to answer your call, John. Because The Miz may not be the greatest of all time, but Chris Jericho damn sure is. And if it's the greatest of all time, the final WrestleMania match you want, then look no further than me, because no matter what happened over the past month or so, I'm still Chris goddamn Jericho. I'm better than any sportsman. I'm better than half of these WWE superstars, and I'm damn sure better than these TikTokers and Costco goers. Big Boom AJ is in the front row. And Jericho sort of sees, he goes, oh look, there he is, a fan in the front row. Come on, boy, you're down the side of the barricade that you need to be on, while Myself, the star, the real stars of this place, Chris Jericho, is in the middle of this ring about to be John Cena's final opponent. Big Boom AJ jumps the barricade. He gets into the ring. He takes Chris Jericho down the clothesline. And he gets him in position. The crowd's going crazy. They're cheering him on. Power boom, power boom, power boom. He finally gives Chris Jericho that power boom. The crowd erupts, goes boom. Big Justice and the Rizzler are in the ring. You know, the Rizzler's pulling the Riz face. He goes up to John Cena. John Cena, like, just looks down at him, laughs at him, like, pats him on the head. And then the Costco guys leave, shaking hands. Jericho has been power boomed finally at WrestleMania. What a WrestleMania moment it is. But John Cena's still in the ring. And he's growing very, very frustrated. He goes, like I said, this is a once in a career, once in a lifetime opportunity that I'm offering out to you guys. And I don't think anyone back there is taking this seriously. Maybe I was wrong. You know, the entire reason why I announced my retirement for this year was because I believed in that locker room. I believed that locker room had what it takes to deliver the future of WWE, to carry this industry after I'm gone. But if this is how you guys are going to act, and this is how you guys are going to take this opportunity, then maybe nobody back there does deserve it. Maybe there's nobody back there who believes they've got what it takes to dance with John Cena on the grandest stage of them all. And if that's the case, I'll walk my ass to the back and you won't see me until tomorrow night, where we'll try this shit again. Because, let's make this clear, this is my final WrestleMania. I'm more than content with all the WrestleMania moments I've had in the past, for this one to just be another one of my many, many opportunities at WrestleMania. It's you who's missing out. These people who are missing out on greatness. And then this is the money shot here. Like, pardon the pun, sorry. But, like, as John Cena is ranting, you just see a singular, like, dollar bill fall from the sky. And, like, as it goes past John Cena's face, he sees it and he sort of just, like, looks confused as it lands on the floor. And you look down at it, John Cena looks down at it, and he picks it up. And yeah, on the front, it's got, like, the WrestleMania logo in the middle, instead of, like, Washington's face or whatever. And then he turns it around, and on the back it just says, I accept. Oh my God. It can't be, but it is. We saw him in the Royal Rumble. We saw him at SummerSlam 2 years ago. That is one of the greatest of all time. The one and only icon. Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, is at WrestleMania. What? And he's accepting John Cena's challenge for the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, the WWE Universe have got 2 glimpses of Okada in the past. That was, you know, when he was working with New Japan, and WWE was working with New Japan to provide SummerSlam in Japan and Tokyo Dome, as well as, you know, after Seth Rollins' appearances in New Japan, you know, Bobby the Road, you know, in exchange for the Royal Rumble, and that was Okada, but he's here tonight on his own fruition. He's wrestling John Cena at WrestleMania. Well, that's definitely Okada in the ring right now. We're about to watch John Cena versus Kazuchika Okada at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena's final WrestleMania, by the way.
Introducing the challenger from Tokyo, Japan, weighing in at 228 pounds, And his opponent from West Newbury, Massachusetts, weighing in at 251 pounds, the WWE Intercontinental Champion, the greatest of all time, John Cena!
We are about to see John Cena and Kazuchika Okada at WrestleMania. I cannot believe my eyes. 82. John Cena was visibly tiring towards the end, but we had to carry him through it. But Big Kazu outscores him, despite having much less popularity. And we do have a new Intercontinental Champion, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. 79 for Okada, 73 for John Cena. The positive side to taking so long to get this show booked, other than, some of the DLC being out and me having the WrestleMania arena for the entrances, is that it's been a long ass time since the Royal Rumble, where I basically said that Okada was joining, but I didn't book him since then because I knew where he was debuting, and I didn't get any comments about him. Nobody in the predictions, they just said, whoever John Cena's, but nobody said, I think it's going to be Okada. But he's here. He's here full time. As you can tell, he's got the Raw background on him. And this is his official WWE debut. And he's defeated John Cena at WrestleMania to win the Intercontinental Championship. The greatest of all time versus arguably one of them in Japan. If not he's number 2 or 3 or 4, depending on where you rank the pillars. But yes, Big Kazu, the Rainmaker, with his actual theme song, where we're bringing the song over. We're not going to say, hey Kazu, your friends in a rock band can make you a new song, because it doesn't fit you as well, brother. But he's here. We have a new Intercontinental Champion. But from that, we go to this. A personal grudge match, like we've never seen before. Candice LeRae has gone insane over the last year, and Dakota Kai has been taking the brunt of it. Dakota's even had her home invaded by Candice, all because Dakota, in Candice's words, betrayed her because she raised Io's hand at Roadblock and helped Io get the championship back, something that Candice LeRae was vehemently against. And this is their match. WrestleMania Night 2 grudge match. The celebrations of John Cena and Big Kazu ends now. It's time for this. Well, they really don't get any more personal than this. From one championship match, the last match of the greatest of all time at WrestleMania, to what the earth is on her face.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making her way to the ring from Riverside, California,
Candice LeRae and Dakota Kai, their story needs no introduction. Last year it was Dakota winning the Women's World Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. Candice was her best friend through it all. The one who stood by her, the one who helped her the most in pulling off the ruse against Queendom. But a year later, and Io and the rise of Queendom Omega have led Candice LeRae to sort of not trust anybody. That includes her own former best friend, Dakota Kai. And if you see, that is a mask she has on her face. Dakota Kai's face with her eyes scribbled out and the word traitor written across her forehead. That lets you know exactly how she feels about this whole situation. And it didn't need to be this way, but Candice LeRae, she says she's doing what she's doing for the greater good. She's doing what needs to be done, what nobody else has to do, and that's, stopping Io Sky being the Women's World Champion once again, and she failed in her goal last night. Io is the Women's World Champion, so that's going to make her only even more frustrated for this match here tonight. God help Dakota Kai is all I really have to say, because she's going to need it. The King is back on the grandest stage. And she's got a very personal skill to settle. Dakota Kai, of course, during this whole fiasco, had her head almost caved in by a cinder block at the hands of Candice LeRae back at Roadblock, simply for raising Io's arm in victory in that match. Candice also invaded Dakota Kai's home, destroyed many of her personal belongings, among many other torturous things heading into this match. The way any sane person, treats a friend they've had a disagreement with. So Dakota will do what she can to get her justice here tonight. '98. I was really concerned about this. Like, not really concerned. I had it. I thought it was going to get like an 87, which I guess is good, but like not superb. Nah, fuck that. 98. This is the match of the night so far. I'm so happy that this was so good, because outside of the championship match, the two main events really, this is in my mind my favorite match. Like, if I was to rank my top 5 most anticipated, if I was watching the show, my top 5 most anticipated matches based on build would be Punk Seth, Io Utami, Kairi Megasis, this, and probably Lyra Becky. But yes, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai. Candice makes her way out wearing Dakota's face on her mask, calling her a traitor. She has Chris Statlander's theme song. There's a specific reason I didn't give it to Nova, and that's because it fits Candice better in my timeline, so I knew Candice was getting it instead. But yes, this match is... There's no stipulation on this one. This one, I say. There's no stipulation on their match, their one and only match. Sorry, my bad. But yes, Candice LeRae does put Dakota Kai down in 1443 with the Wicked Stepsister. And she gets, in her mind, she avenges the betrayal of Dakota Kai and picks up the victory here at WrestleMania. 90 for Dakota and 92 for Candice. Okay, so they are scoring really well. So I'm glad, because something tells me this might not be over. We then cut to a pre-tape with our GMs. We've got Bobby Roode, we've got Pearson Nick Aldis, and we've got Ava. But they're going to announce that this year, every year after WrestleMania, there's a WWE draft. And this year, things are going to be slightly different, because we're going to take a page out of IRL's playbook, because I do need to swap a lot of brands over, but I don't feel like doing a proper 3-way branded draft tonight or this year. So we're just going to do a transfer window like they did in real life. People from Raw and SmackDown ECW can, obviously the GMs will be negotiating them, like, behind the scenes, and, like, I'm going to do an interesting spin on it, because transfer window being, a British sports watcher, is my preferred language for shit like this, because that's what they use in football. but I'm gonna proper like sport it up. Like there's gonna be, you know, if somebody wants to go to Raw, then they like Bobby Roode can like give them more incentive, like say, oh, you get a title shot, or you get this, you get that, and like we're gonna have segments of the GMs talking to other people and like fighting for wrestlers. And this is gonna go on from starting tomorrow until probably the end of, or probably until after the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, which I don't know the schedule for. So it'll probably be like a mid-May. So yeah, like a month of negotiating with wrestlers and, you know, them hopping and changing brands. And yeah, because again, I have a lot of this already booked out, so doing a draft feels redundant because there are a lot of people that will stay where they are. So yeah, nice little transfer window, but I'll keep you all updated, you know. Like, with a draft, there's obviously, like, big visuals and shit for you all to easily follow along who is where. Either on the community page or, like, in a separate video once the window's over. I'll obviously make a whole thing summarizing the entire window and shit. But yes, that's how we're going to do brand switches after WrestleMania this year. It's going to be a transfer window. And also, the main reason for that is there's people that I want to move, but, like, not right away. So, yeah. One year on from making his debut at WrestleMania. As I was saying, a year removed from making his debut at WrestleMania last year as the surprise tag team partner of Finn Balor and AJ Styles, Jay White walks into WrestleMania this year an entirely different man. He went on to have one of the greatest Intercontinental Championship reigns of this generation, losing that to John Cena back on January 6th on the Raw Netflix premiere. And ever since then, he's now decided to get into the year of the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Of course, Cody, who we saw last night in action in that 8-man tag team match. He took the hit for Seth Rollins ahead of tonight's main event. But he's not going to be 100% surely, but Jay White says that he's manipulating everybody. You know, he says that, you know, that was Cody's business, or that wasn't Cody's business, that was Seth's business with Punk. Cody gets involved despite losing the championship to CM Punk. The entire thing with CM Punk and Seth Rollins is Cody Rhodes' fault. I don't want to be the guy to point out the elephant in the room, but look at the bandages on the torso of Cody Rhodes. He is not coming into this match 100%. Cody put his own body on the line during that 8-man tag team match last night, 24 hours ago. Took a vicious spear from Bronson Steiner, all in the name of helping Seth Rollins get the job done tonight. But Jay White says, Cody, you know, you're a politician, you know, you're saying what people want you to say. What are you going to do after WrestleMania when you've got no one to fall back on, you've got no one else to punch yourself up with? What's going to happen then, Cody? Because for Jay White, there's really nothing to lose here now. There's only his second WrestleMania, and he's in the ring with a man who's main evented the past two. Everything to gain for Jay White, everything to lose for Cody Rhodes. He's already lost once tonight at WrestleMania this year. And now he goes into this match with Jay White not 100%. He goes into this match with a big bullseye on his chest that the Switchblade can and most likely will target. 90-rated match. Cody Rhodes and Jay White. Cody, of course, goes into this with taped up ribs. He took a spear from Bronson Steiner yesterday. You know, he sacrificed himself to, you know, help to help Seth Rollins not take an attack at the hands of the Antidote. But He's now not 100% for this match. And as such, Switchblade Jay White does defeat Cody Rhodes with a Blade Runner in 13:54. I imagine the finish, Cody has him in position for a crossroads, and like he gives out, he's holding his ribs in pain, and then Jay White quickly scoops him up. Blade Runner, 1, 2, 3. 90 for Cody, 84 for Jay White. So yeah, Jay White gets the win. Biggest win of his career. And he's been Intercontinental Champion for like 200 odd days. But he beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Cody takes 2 L's this year. He's basically sacrificed his entire body and this match to help Seth Rollins become WWE Champion and rid the world of CM Punk's championship reign once and for all. But it'll all be for naught if Seth can't get that done. So we'll have to wait and see what the future holds in our main event tonight. Speaking of World Championships, our first World Championship match of the night comes up next. Sami Zayn, trying to remind the world who the hell he is. He was born for this. He was born to be World Champion. He's been there once before and it was rather uneventful. Now he's back, he's ready to carry the torch of this brand once again, but standing in his way is the almighty Bobby Lashley. Can Sami get it done, or will the Almighty's reign continue?
The following contest is scheduled for one fall and is for the World Heavyweight Championship!
World Championship action here on WrestleMania Night 2. And can the underdog from the underground do it again? Sami Zayn, 4 years ago became WWE Champion. I forgive you for forgetting because it didn't last very long. He lost the championship just 3 weeks later to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns held it on for a year. But that led to Sami's doubters, all the people that used to tell Sami Zayn you'll never be a world champion, to thinking they were right, because Sami did sort of struggle after that. But recently, he had that change of heart. He lost the United States Championship to Ricochet, the Hurt Business. But in squaring up to the Hurt Business, he said, it's not Ricochet I want to get my hands on, it's Bobby Lashley, it's that World Heavyweight Championship. I want to prove I can do it again, and it wasn't a fluke. I want to prove that these people who've cheered for me through it all were right to stand by me. And Sami Zayn, tonight, his back is up against the wall. He had multiple chances. He came runner-up in the Royal Rumble to Seth Rollins. He came so close to winning the Iron Survivor, who was won by Jacob Fatu, but of course Jacob picking Warden and Rollins picking Punk. That left a spot open for the World Heavyweight Championship on this show. Sami Zayn, before he wasn't going to be in that gauntlet, but he was. He won it, and here we are tonight, as Sami Zayn looks to prove to the world that he does belong in the upper echelon, but it's not exactly an easy task when the World Heavyweight Champion, the opponent you're facing off against at WrestleMania, looks like that. Bobby Lashley himself took 19 years to finally become World Champion in WWE, reaching his pinnacle in WWE in December when he defeated Xavier Woods for that championship around his waist. He's been the champion ever since. He's destroyed Randy Orton, Ilya Dragunov. He destroyed the Revolution. Of course, Buster Gates won the Underground Memorial Battle Royal last night. So he's got a vested interest in this. He's been a big part of this story. He's been trying to help Sami Zayn along the whole way. He's got his entry with Bobby Lashley. So whoever wins, we know Buster Gates is the next in line for a shot. But Bobby Lashley finally becoming World Heavyweight Champion, he wants to hold on to that for a very, very long time. He's already held it for a number of months. But will tonight mark the end of his run? Or will Lashley's reign atop SmackDown continue as he continues to do what the song says and hurt people?
Introducing the challenger from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, weighing in at 212 pounds, Sami Zayn!
I almost pray for Sami Zayn. I understand the heart, but sometimes maybe you've got to be a bit real about it. Look at the size of the world champion. Look at the determination on the world champion. But at the same time, look at the heart and the determination on the face of Sami Zayn, the challenger. Let's get into our first World Championship action of the night. 83. Yeah, night 2 is, in ring-wise, nowhere near as good as night. I think I know why, actually. It's because I used an inspired speech before night 1, so everyone was more motivated in-game. And I wasn't allowed to do that again for night 2 for some reason. So that's probably the reason, that's probably the game reason why night 2 is not as good. I guess crowd burnout in IRL would be the actual reason. But, yeah. 1636, Sami and Bobby Lashley. You can imagine the sort of match this is. David and Goliath. Powerhouse dominant champion against the ultimate underdog. But Sami doesn't give up. Sami keeps fighting. He has to keep fighting. His wife is in the front row. We cut to her a couple of times. MVP probably's there mouthing off at her going, "Is this your man, huh? This dumbass is your man, huh? You're going to watch him lose right in front of your eyes. Because the Almighty is keeping a hold of that championship." And eventually Sami does get all fired up. He sees MVP shouting at his wife. That gets him fired up. He starts throwing hands with Lashley. He starts throwing hands. He probably even decks MVP at some point as well. Sami gets all fired up. He hits a haluva kick on Lashley. Lashley kicks out. And then he goes for a second haluva kick. Lashley bursts out of the corner. Hits a spear. 1, 2. Sami kicks out. Lashley looks down at disgust and he just goes, "Just lose, okay? Just stop." And he grabs him. He puts him in position for the hurt lock. Sami's in the hurt lock. He's fading away. But he looks across at ringside. He sees his wife cheering him on. He sees his child. I call it child. I don't know if it's a son or a daughter. But, yeah. But child just sounds so much more, demeaning when I say, his child. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a son or a daughter. I can't remember. So, yeah. He sees them at ringside anyway. His family, I'll just call them, cheering him on. He gets all fired up. He powers out of the hurt lock. He does the corner spot where, he counters it into a pin. 1, 2, Lashley kicks out. Lashley backs away. He's looking to put Sami down. He goes for another spear. Sami haluva kicks him as he's going to spear him. Lashley gets into the corner. Sami's all fired up. Haluva kick. Lashley falls. Sami picks him up again. A third haluva kick. An exhausted Sami Zayn drapes his arm over Bobby Lashley. 1, 2, 3. He's done it. We have a new World Heavyweight Champion. Sami Zayn. Back on top of the world. He's proven that he can get it done. What a moment. And what a man. 82 for Bobby Lashley. 83 for Sami Zayn. After the match, he's celebrating with his championship. His wife hops the barricade. They hug in the middle of the ring. Pyro's going off. Confetti falls. Sami Zayn back on top of the world. Let's see how long this reign goes. Because last time, his reign didn't end so well. But now he's on a quest to prove he does belong. So Sami ruling SmackDown once again. Hall of Fame segment. Triple H, the gay mug, comes out. He's aura farming. The rest of the class is out there too. And, yeah. The gay mug. Get his face on screen because, I know he hates it. I know he really, really hates the attention and really hates being on screen. But, yeah. He's out here.
The following contest is a triple threat match and is for the ECW Women's World Championship.
Women's Championship action now, as the woman who came out of WrestleMania last year with this gold looks to do the same tonight.
Introducing the challenger from England,
Now, Florence, last year, came into WrestleMania as the Royal Rumble winner. She cashed in her shot on Julia in the ECW Women's Championship. She won that match, becoming the second ever ECW Women's Champion. She ended up losing the title to Ruby Riott at Survivor Series because of some ongoing issues between Ruby, Florence, and her former best friend Blair Davenport. You know, Blair and Florence got into it. They had an underground match that Blair Davenport ended up winning because of Ruby Riott, and it looked, for a moment, like Blair Davenport was the number 1 contender by herself for WrestleMania for this ECW Women's Championship, but that ended up not being the case. Florence fought her way into this championship match, and now all 3 women who have had issues with each other, going back to around about October. Of course, Florence and Ruby have had matches before then, long before then, but tensions between all 3 really started to flare when Blair decided to turn on Florence, her best friend, at the sort of behest of Ruby Riott. But of course, Ruby Riott is no innocent party in this either. She's the manipulator behind the whole thing, and she's gotten in the minds of both Florence and Blair Davenport for different reasons.
And introducing the challenger, representing the Unholy Union from Wellington, New Zealand, Blair Davenport.
Blair Davenport, of course, has recently formed a new little alliance with Alphabetical and a web of the Unholy Union to help her, get as far as she has here tonight. But tonight she goes it alone. This is the furthest she's gotten. Can Blair get it over the line? Will Blair Davenport leave tonight as the ECW Women's Champion? She's going to get past her former best friend, who she thinks has been overlooking her, has been pitying her, because she gave her that opportunity in her home country at Auckland Assault in October. Says that was a pity title match and you picked me because you thought I was easy. Tonight, Blair Davenport looks to prove she's far from an easy victory for not only Florence, but also the current ECW Women's Champion, that being Ruby Riott, who is, of course, all in her mind, always one step ahead of both the other women in this match tonight. But it's every woman for herself, and I'm sure both Blair and Florence may have to put their differences aside at least once for the greater good of trying to take the championship from Ruby Riott. And Ruby, her story goes way back.
And introducing the champion from Lafayette, Indiana, the ECW Women's World Champion, Ruby Riott.
Ruby Riott has spent 8 years on the WWE main roster and finally captured the championship for the first time back in November. Her rise has been something to see. She's been a quiet background player for a number of years, and to many people it's a great thing to finally see Ruby step up and step into her first big WrestleMania match all by herself here tonight, and she's going to look to keep a hold of the championship that brought her to the dance. 3 elite competitors, 1 piece of championship gold. Who leaves with it? 90. Okay, things are picking up. Women's ECW Championship match. Blair Davenport and Florence both challenging Ruby Riott. These 3 have been sort of linked since October. Florence was the champion coming out of WrestleMania last year. She held it all the way until Survivor Series, where Ruby Riott won it from her because of the Blair Davenport shenanigans. Then Blair and Florence had their own little thing. Blair technically won that, but that was thanks to Ruby. And then, they've all been going at each other for a long time, and it ends tonight. We're ready for the next stages of the ECW Women's Division, but who will be the one to carry the torch? Will it be Florence, will it be Blair Davenport, or will it be Ruby Riott? And it goes 13-27. Ruby and Blair are sort of they end up working together for a bit in this match, because even though they do dislike each other, they sort of see it as, hey, we can take her out and then we can fight. Like heels do. And they do eventually take Florence out. And then it's just Ruby and Blair. And then they go at it. Ruby has Blair beat, but then Florence springs back into life. She breaks up the pin. Ruby and Blair again try and work together to take her out, but miscommunication between the two doesn't quite end the way it did last time. And then, Ruby, finally snaps. She takes out Blair Davenport. She takes her out of the Riott kick. She picks up Florence. She starts shouting at her, saying, this is the end, okay? I'm the champion now. And thank you all for being such a good part of my ascent. She goes to hit the Riott kick on Florence. She ducks. Like, I'm imagining the scenario if she's got Florence ready for the Riott kick, and then she goes to kick back, and, like, Florence catches the leg, and, like, turns it into, like, a German suplex. She German suplexes Florence on Ruby onto her neck. She nails that rain flow. She gets all fired up. She hits the springboard lariat. 1, 2, 3. Florence has regained the ECW Women's Championship. For the second straight year, she leaves WrestleMania the ECW Women's Champion. 90 for Blair, 91 for Florence, 94 for Ruby. So yeah, Florence back on top. This belt was interesting. This was a belt that, like, for the last year, I didn't really have anything planned. I had, coming out of WrestleMania last year, I had up to SummerSlam with Ruby and Rhea and Florence planned out. But I didn't really, and I knew Florence was going to retain. But the original plan, I was like, she's going to carry it probably all the way through to the next Mania and then maybe lose it there. Even then, maybe not. But I'm glad it went this way because Ruby sort of naturally got over with me and the game and you. So, like, I pivoted, I gave her run. I'm going to be blunt, I don't know how she will be in the future. I'll try and keep her a part of the division, but I feel like at least she had her moment at the top. But, you know, I've got other people coming up, other people coming in. It feels like her time, this was her run. Like, and that's fine. You know? Like, not everybody has to be a top star at all times, and I'm glad that I did pivot and give Ruby the belt and she got her moment. Because I don't know, like, how she'll be going forward. I'll try and, you know, keep her a part of everything. I mean, obviously she'll probably have a rematch with Florence, but I have also done that match to death, so I don't know. But yeah, ECW's women's division is one that does excite me heading into the new year. I've got, I think, like 3 or 4 big stories planned just in the ECW women's division of all places. And Ruby at the minute is not part of any of them. Maybe I'll trade her to SmackDown, who knows. But yeah, I'll have to try and find something for her to do because she is still scoring 94s. And, you know, she's a long time serving member of this roster. She's been here since the start of the save. So, you know. She was also on the verge of leaving, like, last year. Like, this time last year, I was like, oh, when Ruby's contract comes, I'll probably just let her go. But here she is in one of the main events of WrestleMania. So, yeah, who knows. But yapping over, Florence is the champion once again. She is sort of the ace of this whole division, so it felt right to give her the belt back. And yeah. Hype video. Tribal warfare is among us. The Rock and the Gorillas of Destiny against Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Solo. You know, whoever wins... Basically, this is the end of the whole thing. Whoever wins rules the bloodline. Whoever loses can't get involved in bloodline business effectively. But for Roman, it was to leave ECW. But for The Rock, it was simply that. Yeah, get the fuck out of the bloodline business. And yeah, let's see what's happening. Let's see what this gets. I don't know what this is going to get because the game moaned at me for putting The Rock in a 20-minute match, even though in reality he can, you know, take breaks because it's an 8-man tag. And I don't know, because you got the Tongans in there, Solo's in there. I don't really know what this is going to get, but it'll probably be alright. The penultimate match of WrestleMania 41. And it's got a lot of stakes in its own way. It's just him, Oos. Except it's not just him tonight. There are 3 people by his side. 2 of his brothers and his cousin.
The following contest is an 8-man tag match. Introducing first, from San Francisco, California, weighing in at 242 pounds.
As petty and pathetic as what I'm about to say is, it is also entirely true. This issue between The Rock and the Bloodline started last year because The Rock Hollywood megastar Dwayne Johnson did not like that Jey Uso was the ECW World Champion. He says that Jey Uso and this heating is a disgrace to the family, and that shouldn't be who represents and who provides for the family. So he blamed Roman Reigns for the loss, as well as, hating on Jey Uso. And he tried to tear down ECW. He tried to tear down the brand that Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns built after Roman Reigns was eradicated and banned from SmackDown. He hired Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa to watch the back of Solo Sikoa to form his own version of the Bloodline, to try and take out the original version of the Bloodline. He hired Vince Russo to run the damn show to try and kill ECW dead. And it didn't work, and now, here tonight, the rebels of the family.
From San Francisco, California, weighing in at 251 pounds,
It's actually even really cool, this team, the Rebels, because of course, they are family. It's The Rock and the Tongans that aren't family, but they're The Rock's chosen, found family. The family he's chosen to represent him because he was sick and tired of the way his family was doing things. In one way or another, this will be the end of this rendition of this family drama, because if The Rock's team picks up the win here tonight, then he is the head of the table, he is the provider of the family, and Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa are banned from ECW. But if Roman wins, The Rock, he can't get involved in family affairs ever again. He goes off to Hollywood to do whatever The Rock does. And the most interesting name on this team isn't Jimmy or Jey or even Roman Reigns. It's this man, Solo Sikoa, who for the first time in years has come home. Solo's issues with his family and his brothers are very well known. Seth Rollins sort of preyed upon Solo Sikoa's weaknesses of being the outcast of the original Anoa'i family back when he came to the main roster in 2022. But time heals all wounds, as they say, and Solo Sikoa was The Rock's chosen man from his birth family to represent this era of the Bloodline, until Solo Sikoa disappointed The Rock, and The Rock booted him out in favor of Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, as well as even choosing Warden as his own representative in War Games. And Solo Sikoa, he came back, settled things with his family. The Wyatt 7 had words with the Bloodline. They said, my brother's gone, but your brother, he's still around, so let's make sure that you make amends with your brother before it's too late. Brother, my brother, 3 brothers here tonight on the same team, and Solo Sikoa, for the first time in his career, cheered by the fans here in Las Vegas. Because after being the outcast and trying to destroy the Bloodline himself, he now has an ulterior motive too, to save it. And of course, it wouldn't be the OG Bloodline. Please rise from your seat, onto your feet, throw those ones in the sky. Las Vegas, acknowledge him. The OTC has arrived at WrestleMania. The one true chief. He had a very bad run of form at WrestleMania the past 2 years. Both championship triple threat matches. He lost in that WWE Championship Triple Threat match 2 years ago when Cody Rhodes finished the story. He lost last year in that Triple Threat match against both Jimmy and Jey Uso when Jey Uso became the ECW World Champion. Funnily enough, the last time Roman Reigns was victorious at WrestleMania, he beat The Rock. And what we thought was the end of that rivalry, but The Rock isn't The Rock that we knew back then. This final boss thinks he can call all the shots, both in WWE and in the Bloodline. And it's the Roman Reigns job, the Jimmy Uso job, the Jey Uso job, the Solo Sikoa job, to send him back. Roman Reigns done a lot of horrible things to his family over the years, but it's brothers in arms, it's blood. At the end of the day, there's nothing stronger than Samoan blood. I don't know why I had to specify Samoan, the blood itself. But Roman Reigns, Usos, Solo Sikoa united for a common cause. That is to be not just the one true chief, but the one true bloodline. And also in many ways, a lot of this can be blamed on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns did let his ego get the best of him at Survivor Series when he called upon The Rock to be the final member of his team at War Games, which that team was him and the Usos and Jacob Fatu. And then it was The Rock who stabbed a knife in the back of the tribal chief that night, siding with his newfound family and defeating the original bloodline on that night. So that's also a personal bit of revenge on the mind of the one true chief heading into tonight. Las Vegas lookout, firing squad GOD has landed.
And at a combined weight of 693 pounds, Tamatanga, Tonga, and
Because as I said, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa brought to WWE by The Rock with one common goal, and that was to help recruit Solo Sikoa to their version of the Bloodline, which they actually did do until Solo Sikoa became too much of a liability in in The Rock's mind, and was booted out in favor of that 7-foot beast, Tala Tonga, the younger brother of Tama Loa and Tama Tonga. And now this family tree, the three sons of the King Haku, who The Rock has, anointed an honorary family member in the past. They're not related by blood, but they are The Rock's chosen blood here tonight. And they're looking to spill the shared blood of the Anoa'i family across the ring from them, with Solo Sikoa, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Roman Reigns. But leading the line is the final boss. I need to be very careful what I say here, because this man is technically my boss, so I can't be on record of, saying too many horrible things about him.
weighing in at 265 pounds.
All I can say about The Rock is that since he has higher power over even Paul Heyman, who is the ECW general manager, because he is part of the TKO board, and he anointed his daughter Ava as the new general manager of ECW. It feels like The Rock starting to think he's a bit untouchable, including him, publicly announcing recently that he planned to run for president. So, if he can manipulate the minds of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, he's looking like he can manipulate the minds of the American public. And could do all of that as the self-anointed head of the table if he wins here tonight. But he will have to find other roles. I'm sure there's a lot of movie studios looking to cast Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in their movies if he's defeated and can no longer get involved in family affairs. But The Rock, I'll say this quietly so he doesn't hear me, has a pretty bad record at WrestleMania in recent years, including a loss last year to LA Knight, and of course that loss 3 years ago to Roman Reigns. But The Rock, with Big Talatonga and those Gorillas of Destiny by his side, thinks tonight his found family, his chosen family, is stronger than blood. Not sure I agree, but we'll have to see if he's right. Because there is really only one way to find out, and that's to get on with tribal warfare here at WrestleMania. A5, okay, I'll take a blue. I was expecting like an 82, but I'll take it's a blue. I consider that a success. Yes. Bloodline lore. All over the place. All sorts of bloodline lore is everywhere here because, you know, it's the end of the bloodline stuff. Before the match starts, I imagine they would show Haku and Rikishi in the front row. Like, yo, they're here to watch the bloodline warfare match to, well, one member of the bloodline family, and then, of course, the father, the not blood-related, but, you know, family bond member of the family in Haku. And, yeah, they're here. You know, his sons are on one team, Rikishi's are on the other. So let's see. And then, you know, we get your standard bloodline shit. You know, The Rock's walking around mouthing off at people. You know, it's slow-paced. You know, he spills to the outside, no DQ. Roman spears somebody through the barricade. Probably The Rock, actually. That'll be fun. You know, The Rock takes a spear through the barricade. You know, he took a table bump at WrestleMania last year, so he should probably be down for it. But yes, towards the end of the match, I imagine Roman Reigns is in the ring with Tama Tonga. He gets all fired up. He nails him with that big clothesline, that Superman punch. He backs into a corner. He goes, ooh, ah. He hits the spear on Tama Tonga. 1, 2, and then King Haku has hopped the barricade and he pulls the referee out of the ring to protect his son. And he starts mouthing off the referee and they go, yeah, bitch, I'm Haku. Like, even as I'm old as fuck, nobody wants to fight me. And then Rikishi steps up from his seat. He also hops the barricade. And he drops Haku with a big forearm. The crowd loses its mind. It goes, Rikishi, Rikishi, Rikishi. And I just wanted to get that fun spot in there. Rikishi, he's there at ringside cheering his sons on, and Roman Reigns, of course. The other Tongans come in the ring. 1D to Big Talatonga, because I imagine that would be impressive as fuck. Solo Sikoa gives the spike to Tonga Loa. Roman spears Tama Tonga. And then The Rock is all alone. The Rock, he gets into the ring. He calls up his Tongans to help him out. Then nobody gets up. He calls to the back for Warden to help him out. Warden doesn't come out. He looks down at Haku. Haku's down. And Rikishi's there standing over him. And then The Rock's face changes. We're actually going to test Dwayne Johnson's acting ability. Because he needs to look scared here. Because he's fucked. He realises now he's fucked. And then he starts to beg for forgiveness. And he starts to apologise. He goes, no, the bloodline, you with the helm and me watching over as the elder, that was good, that was back, that was the best the bloodline's ever been, let's go back to that, Roman, okay? He throws the wands up into the air. And Roman sort of just laughs at him. He throws the one up into the air as well. And then he turns the wands into a middle finger. And he flips off The Rock. He spears The Rock. And then he turns to Jay. This all started because The Rock was angry that Jey Uso was representing the family, that Jey Uso was the world champion. Roman orders Jay up top. He hits that Uso splash. And Yeet Man has pinned The Rock at WrestleMania. And the OG Bloodline scores the victory. 78 for Solo Sikoa. 80 for Jimmy Uso, 81 for Jey Uso, 91 for Roman Reigns, 78 for The Rock, 64 for Tama Tonga, 56 for Tonga Loa, 63 for Tala Tonga. And yes, the Bloodline story as we know it is over. What's next for these men? I'm sure for the Tongans they'll find a nice little spot on ECW as a mid-card stable. But yeah, Roman Reigns and the Usos. Like, I imagine, like, I've got a segment after this anyway where we have a yeet party. You know, it's Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, Rikishi, and Solo all yeeting in the ring. And then, like, as Roman leaves, you know, we see Roman leave, he sort of just smiles, he looks back at Jey and all them yeeting. And then Heyman's with him. He sort of goes, "What's next, my tribal chief?" And he sort of just looks at him. He looks back into the ring, he looks at Solo, thinks about Jacob, and he goes, "Wise man, your show's in good hands. I think it's time we broadened our horizons and opened our borders. 'Cause you see, The Rock, he may have been right about one thing. I don't know if ECW needs the tribal chief anymore." And he sort of walks away and Heyman follows him and goes, "What does that mean, my tribal chief?" Law. You know the law. You're sick of the law at this point. You know, it's funny, you know, how everybody in IRL is so bored of this feud, but, you know, I've not done it that much that, you know, this is only the second one-on-one encounter between the two, and probably the last, I will say. Yes. But Seth Rollins and CM Punk, you know their story. Seth took exception to Punk coming back. You know, cost him the Royal Rumble. They fought at WrestleMania last year in the opening match. And then CM Punk proved Seth Rollins right that he was a cancer. Back at SummerSlam, and he became WWE Champion. Seth left, he took his ball and went home. Came back to the Royal Rumble once Triple H called him back. Won the Royal Rumble. He's looking to save Monday Night Raw, and he's looking to save WWE from CM Punk here tonight. Can he do it?
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it's for the undisputed WWE Championship.
Oh, Philly Phil, stay away. Stay away, you cancer. Get away from me forever. I don't like Phil. He's a jerk. Oh, did we just figure that out? He's a jerk. Come on. We figured it out over there. We knew it over here. I don't want him back. Go do something else. Bye-bye. Maybe he'll take another 10 years off. You wanted this place to die with the echoes of those CM Punk chants. You went on your buddy's podcast, tried to tear this place down. When that didn't work, you took every single shot you could to try to kill this place, and you still couldn't do it. You took a big chunk of change to go join the competition. How'd that work out for you? I fought and I stayed because that's how revolutions are made. They're made in the trenches, not by cowards who abandon their families. And you want to come back in here and you want to wave the flag with us? No way! What you have become is a cancer. You are a cancer to this business, and cancer does not cure itself. The only way to defeat it is to cut it out. You bring your fistful of arrows, I'll bring my eyes of fire and my heart full of hate and rage, and I will burn you to the ground.
Well, the story between these two men really needs no introduction. Seth Rollins, last year when CM Punk returned to WWE at the Royal Rumble, he was the one who took the exception of Punk. He cost him that Royal Rumble match. They ended up facing off at WrestleMania last year. CM Punk got that victory, but Seth says that I'm still right about Punk. Punk doesn't deserve to be back in WWE. He's just here for himself. And time proved to be very kind to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins himself, left WWE for a short little while after SummerSlam last year, and CM Punk revealed his master plan to the world. To Seth, he couldn't handle seeing it unfold in front of his very eyes. Triple H called him back. He said, Seth, you're the only person who can stop this. Seth, you were right. Seth, we need you to come home. And Seth did just that. And now he holds the candle. He gives CM Punk his first ever WrestleMania main event.
What do you see? The cult of personality. I know your anger. I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. Like Mussolini and Kennedy. I'm the cult of personality, the cult of personality, the cult of personality.
Ladies and gentlemen, in living color, CM Punk is in the main event of WrestleMania. Now, interestingly, Punk doesn't come out here with the Antidote, who we know are allowed out here tonight because Punk won that 8-man tag team match last night. But he decided to come out here all alone to start this one. Now, in many ways, this is very ironic because, of course, Seth Rollins, by proxy of winning the Royal Rumble match, decided who to face off in the main event of WrestleMania. He picked CM Punk after initially saying he was going to challenge Bobby Lashley, purposefully to deny CM Punk this very opportunity. But in the end, cooler heads prevailed, and Seth said, you know what? I can live the rest of my life knowing CM Punk only ever achieved his dream because of me. And don't get it twisted, that is, in many ways, a fact. Seth Rollins won the Royal Rumble. He had to say who main events WrestleMania with him, and he chose CM Punk not only to spite him and have that sword of Damocles over Punk the entire time that, hey, you only got there because of me, but because he's the only one, per Triple H, per Cody Rhodes, that can save this place from the tyranny of CM Punk and the Antidote. Punk says he's cleaning the poison in this company, and Seth says, Punk, you are the poison, and the crowd is torn here tonight.
Introducing the challenger from Devonport, Iowa, weighing in at 217 pounds, Seth Rollins. And his opponent from Chicago, Illinois,
despite everything Punk has done and said, he's always got a very loyal fan base, and you're hearing them loud tonight. Half this arena singing for Seth Rollins, half this arena cheering for CM Punk. It very much is a pick your poison, pick your hero, pick your villain situation. But we won't have to pick who the WWE Champion is. We're about to find out. 99. Huge. Expected. Low-key. Like, every time these two have shared the ring, whether it be the Mania last year, the mixed tag with Becky and AJ, and tonight, we've got a 99 with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. But the crowd is sort of split. Because naturally, as the months have progressed, there are a lot of little CM Punk heads in the crowd who, see his vision and have come around to his way of thinking. So there are people here that don't want Seth Rollins to win. So it's a very split crowd. You've got half the crowd going, oh, whoa. The other crowd going, CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk. But yes, CM Punk is finally in the main event of WrestleMania. That's also part of it, you can see he's a little bit emotional. But, we can't do the full-on CM Punk WrestleMania main event glaze fest like in real life because he is technically a heel. And, sue me, I want some realism. And, in his mind, he should be here. But yes, the match gets started. CM Punk and Seth Rollins do their thing. You know what to expect for these two now. And that is a lot of kickouts, a lot of finishes, a lot of callbacks. Seth probably hits a crossroads on Punk at one point, and Punk kicks out. And, stuff like that. CM Punk hits a pedigree on Seth Rollins. Seth kicks out. But yes, we spill to the outside. A table bump. CM Punk hits an elbow through the announce table onto Seth. Then we get back into the ring. Both men are exhausted. They're bloody. Come on, let's end this right now. And CM Punk sort of starts undoing his wrist. It's right, fine. You want to win this right now, huh? Come on then. And then they meet in the middle. They start doing the hockey fight spot. And, they're both when they're exhausted. They trade back and forth strikes. Yeah, boo, yeah, boo, yeah, boo. But, sort of more of a mixed reaction. Sort of a meh versus meh. Because there's people cheering and booing both men. And, I imagine over the course of the match, you see Punk sort of, softening up. You sort of see, the moment is getting to him. And, the reaction from the crowd all cheering for him, main eventing WrestleMania, and he sort of takes a look around at one point when he's on the top rope, looks around at the crowd, and he's like, wow, I am in the fucking main event of WrestleMania. I did it. That's why I came back. He flies off with a fucking dive. Rollins counters it. He ends up hitting a curb stomp on Punk. 1, 2, Punk kicks out. And Seth screams, he goes, come on, go away, die. And he backs up. He goes to the top rope. He's going to hit a top rope curb stomp. Punk kicks him out of the air. He nails a go to sleep. And he goes to crawl onto Seth. But Seth rolls out of the ring. As he does. And then Seth, he beats the count. He gets into the ring at 9. And then the two men, bloodied, sweaty, tired, sort of look across the ring at each other. Punk laughs at Seth. And sort of just gives him a come on hand gesture. Which enrages Seth. He's like, how the fuck is this guy still wanting more? He flies at Punk. Punk dodges it. Go to sleep. Seth bounces off the ropes. Curb stomp. Both men collapse to the floor. And then Fiend hits, and out comes Travis Scott. No, that doesn't happen. Nobody else is running out in the main event of WrestleMania.
Sheesh.
Or are they? Because out walks Chad Gable. Gable, he walks his way down to the ring. And this is interesting because Gable said that, he planned to cash in at WrestleMania, but, CM Punk called him out on that. So now, we don't know what's going on in the mind of Chad Gable. But he does get into the ring. He looks down at Punk, he looks down at Seth, and his paranoid expression changes to a smile, and he hands the briefcase over to the referee, and he sort of just nods to himself, smiling. This match is now a triple threat. Gable picks up Seth, he hits the Chaos Theory, 1, 2, Rollins kicks out. Gable can't believe it, he goes over to Punk, he locks him in the ankle lock, and, Punk, he screams in pain, and Seth sees this, he super kicks Chad Gable. He tries to take Chad Gable out. He turns around. Punk hits the go to sleep. And then Gable grabs CM Punk from behind. He German suplexes Punk. He goes for the cover off the GTS. 1, 2, 3. And we do have a new WWE champion. Raw has been saved. But not by Seth Rollins. 94 for Punk, 96 for Seth, 95 for Gable. So Chad Gable, this entire year, I've had his holds ever since he won the briefcase. I knew exactly what was happening. And he's been scheming in the background all year, He had ties to Seth, he had ties to Punk, he was ties to Cody, he was just a lingering side character through this entire whole thing. But now he's the main man. Monday Night Raw is saved. CM Punk is no longer the WWE champion. But neither is Seth Rollins. 10 years after the heist of the century, Seth now knows how it feels. Seth now knows how it feels to be this close to being WWE champion in the main event of WrestleMania and having it yanked away by a scheming, calculated little bastard with a briefcase. Gable, he's happy as a pig and shit. He runs up the ramp. He lifts the title up his head. He goes, "Thank you!" Pyro goes off. CM Punk sits at ringside, disappointed in himself. Seth, he starts coming to. He glares at Punk. He glares at Gable. He glares at his own inner soul. And WrestleMania goes off the air. Chad Gable is your undisputed WWE champion. .100 rated show, sure. In Wing Rise, I thought this was a lot. In game, this was a lot worse than night one, but I liked both nights a lot. I'm so happy that WrestleMania is finally done. It's SummerSlam in real life, as these are coming out. But I'll be real. It's only really WrestleMania season I feel like I miss out on, being behind. So, when I'm in the build to other pay-per-views coming up, I won't be as anxious about it. Now WrestleMania is done. SummerSlam, I think, came out in, September, October last year. But, yeah. But now, more importantly, because it's taken me so long to get to WrestleMania, it feels like I've been booking the same angles and feuds for so long. And it feels like I'm finally ready to move on to new shit. And there is new shit coming. Shit that I'm really excited for. I'm gonna be real, when I fell this far behind, there was a part of me that considered ending the series at WrestleMania, but there's so much shit that I want to get to afterwards that I'm no, this is good shit. I'm really excited for this. Yeah. And it all starts tomorrow night on the Raw after WrestleMania. Some stuff that is planting the seeds for the rest of the year on that show. Before then, we will do a State of the Universe and a goal-setting episode, and I will go through everything and set the salamis up at some point. But yes, WrestleMania has come and gone, finally. And yeah, we have a bunch of new champions. I think all of the world titles changed hands. That's not normally like me. I normally like to at least throw in one retention on these shows. But they did all change hands tonight. A fresh start, a new era, starting tomorrow night on Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania. But first, let's hear what the people have to say in the scrum. Here at the media scrum, our first question is about Mackie. It says, Mackie got injured again. Given her somewhat fragile history, it's becoming a problem that she's injury prone? I didn't realise she ever got hurt. Injuries are part of wrestling, there's no issue here. As Sammy here has won the World Heavyweight title tonight, does this mean he'll be getting behind him strong over the coming weeks and months? He deserves the opportunity to get a run as champion. Same with Tiffany. Same with Gable. Rumours are swirling that Shayna Baszler complained about how you'd booked her match, but you completely ignored her and continued as planned. So Shayna was obviously angry that Julia won and not her. It's unfortunate, but need to be done for the good of the show. We saw Billy Starks have an off night. Who cares? She was one of 40 people in the ring. That's it. Sure. I notice they love asking about new champions. Okay. But yes, I'll see you next time for the Raw after. Well, probably won't actually be the State of the Universe first. But the next episode of TV will be the Raw after WrestleMania. But we will have to get the goal setting down. So get thinking of your goals. And hopefully, I know most of you watch WrestleMania and nothing else. Hopefully, I'll see you then.